was 16 when we had this, 1941. Couldn't believe me eyes, I had a new tractor of my own.
That was a good Christmas present then for November, really. So the 24th of November, you got it?
Yeah, yeah.
John Starsmore has been involved in farming for nearly 90 years. He loves the old tractors, but he's retired now, and except for meetings of the North Bucks Vintage Tractor Society, his farmyard in South Northamptonshire no longer echoes to the sound of farm machinery. But in one of his barns, John keeps his memories alive and provides fascination for young and old boys alike.
This is a model of a pre-war engine. It isn't to scale, but it's one of my first efforts, and I made it in the 60s. We took some photographs of the old engines, and I managed to more or less get it to scale. It will work. It'll be better on air than steam. The steam takes a long time to steam up. I made a few models, aircraft, in the 60s, and there wasn't the time with the children growing up, and I did take it up in the early 1990s. In 1995, I had a stroke, and I get in there full time now, and I find it good therapy. And the more I do, the better I like it. I don't know where it's going or not, that's the trouble. Right, this one. A friend suggested I made a tank. Well, I wasn't going to be beaten, so this is my effort. And it's taken from photographs. It isn't quite, the shape isn't quite right, but at least we've got the main design. They're all scrap materials, apart from the chain, which is, of course, is a scrap, a chain which is worn, partly worn, and it does actually travel. It's an electric motor. Of course, it isn't the inside isn't like the full scale ones, but at least it works. Great-grandfather, Samuel Phillips, was born in Weldon near Corby, and in 1840 was caught poaching, and he's sentenced at the Northampton Assize Court to 14 years hard labour, and he was deported to Tasmania. And I understand he went to Melbourne before he came home and was involved in a gold rush or something like that, and came home, and he bought the farm the land where we are now from the Whittleberry Foss, from the Duke of Grafton, and he bought the land by auction, 38 acres, at the Cock Hotel, at Stony Trafford in 1855. In 1882, grandfather started a contract business, and he bought steam engine and threshing boxes, and we ended up with 5 or 6 threshing sets. And they had about 30 or 40 customers in those days. In the 1920s, they did buy a set of ploughing engines with a 5 or 6 row balance plough and a cultivator, and that was hauled across the field by winches on each engine. And we ended up with 5 or 6 sets of threshing tackle with 250 customers in the 30s and 40s. They'd start threshing during harvest in August, and we'd probably keep on till June, threshing old corn, still threshing ricks, you see, and yes, there'd be enough work. They repaired roads, and we had a couple of steam rollers, and we dredged ponds with the old steam ploughing kit. Oh yes, they kept out of mischief. My Uncle Fred, he was a trained fitter. He spent in Birmingham 6 years apprenticeship. He didn't really approve tractors, but he was a good steam fitter. Actually, he didn't touch tractors. He taught me how to calculate. He could screw. He was a lathe operative, and he taught me how to work a lathe and sharpen a drill, all things like that. And oh yes, I learned a lot from Uncle Fred. Well, there's no question of teaching us. We just helped him. We had to blow the fire and hold the hot on in the right place, and hit the bell on the right time, and no, we got on very well. This is a model, Ransom and Rapier, dragline, and it was at Corby when Corby was a steelworks. And Ransom and Rapier made 3 of them. This is the biggest one with a 300-foot jib. I think it's a 30 to 1, and well, I was it was a bit difficult to do the maths. I don't think it's quite a scale, but at least it works. There was no plans at all, just I did the best I could with what I'd got. All I got was the photograph, the Sundew story, and I got that and the pictures. Well, it's not too bad, but it could be better, no doubt. All these electric bits are car motor window motors. When you press your button in the car, the window comes down, and there's 5 of them in this machine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there.
Is there anything in this that you've had to pay for?
Good Lord, no, I don't pay for anything. It's the last thing you want to do. Oh, might be a few 5mm nuts and bolts. I started work when I was about 7 or 8, riding the first horse in the binder. That was a machine for cutting the standing corn, and it's pulled by 3 horses, so somebody had to ride the front horse to guide them round the field. So that was left to myself and my brother, 7 or 8 years old, and we rode horse in the binder. Went to Toaster Grammar School, and in 19 1939, when the war declared, I think we left when we were 14 because the war ags then, we got to plough all the grass up. So my brother and myself, we did the early 1940s. When we were 15, I think we had to plough all this grass up with 2 standard Fords. Our first tractor, although I can hardly, I don't remember, it was in the 20s, early 20s. And that was a Whiting Bull, it came from America. And I don't think they used it for long because the engine wouldn't start. And then we had our first force in 1935. Cost £135. A lot of money in those days. We got a quarter tractor here. It's a copy of a Caterpillar. And the baler over there is a power baler. And I'll just switch on because it's electrically powered, but normally there's a internal combustion engine. I made it about 4 years ago. It took me about 6 months.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Beer can.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it's wicked.
I got interested in model aircraft in the 60s when I used to fly them, and I ended up with horrendous crashes, and so I thought I'll build a few that static models which don't crash. That is a Vickers Viame. I took again that from photographs. I knew the wingspan, and that one is about 1/15. A Spitfire on the top, and a Mosquito underneath, a B-17, and underneath that is a dear old Lancaster. Years and years ago we bought airfix models, and they're to scale, and I managed to calculate the sizes up to the suitable size which I could manage. It's no good having an aircraft you can't get in the workshop to make. So you have to get them to, you never want to really get a model above 9 foot wingspan because you can't manage it. They're Ford tractors, and that was 1936 tractor, 38 tractor rather. That's the N, Ford N, and this one's the E27N, and that was designed after the war, but it's the same engine, but a different gearbox. I manufacture them on a more or less, that's a pity, isn't it? Wheels fell off. Never mind. That's it. And we do sell them and the money will go to a charity. And I'm now making a few more out of decent plywood and some odd, well, although it's decent, it's scrap again. And the wheels, again, turns out on my lathe. And they're about 1/10 scale. I find it most fascinating, old machinery. And, well, I don't know whether it's good or bad, but I still find the old days, the old disciplines, and I so like them. We started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock, we packed up at 5 o'clock, but people, to my mind, did a day's work for a day's pay. That was like that, and all the men we had were good men who kept to the times, and they were completely honest, and it was a good period. Whether we're deteriorating now, I shan't give an opinion, but I think we have. Well, I'm working on this carousel now. The first effort was a 2 ostrich there and a horse there. So I thought I'd make it a 3, so I wind it. And now it'll work with a bit of luck. So far, so good. Now I've got to put some more cranks in there, and I'm in trouble with that one across there, and I'm working on that now. You don't work. Now everything doesn't go right in the first effort, so one keeps working away till you get it right. Well, these bevels, I can make them on my lathe. I can cut gears, which I'm very proud of. The horse there actually comes from real horses. There's a real horse hair. I come about 9:30 and have about 2 hours for lunch, and have another 2 hours in the afternoon. As I'm physically impossible to do a bit of farming, so we pop in here to keep out of mischief.
Have you got your next project lined up after this one?
No, this is my last one.
What do you mean your last one?
No, that's it now, because I'm getting a bit, I've got senile dementia, or whatever. So they tell me, at any rate. So I think I might as well pack up. But I have a bit of a job to keep the kit going, so
What do you mean you have a bit of a problem?
well, the electrics get on top of me a little bit, and I mean, eyesight isn't good as what it was, so I'm struggling a bit, but I shan't let it beat me.